2008 marked the beginning of a tumultuous time in NASCAR, and much of the world. The beginning of the financial crisis caused many teams to rethink their spending habits, along with beginning to question their existence entirely. On top of that, NASCAR was coming off a year where it saw moderate regression in its viewership and attendance. The growth that it had been used to for the last decade or so was now replaced with recession. And under its new name, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, the competition still seemed harsh and the racing fierce on the track. History was in the making for the fifth chase. History no one thought would ever be done. For the fifth time in as many chases, the Magic Mile lays host to the first event of this year's chase. 12 drivers eye opportunity, and the driver to lead them to green today is pole sitter and points leader Kyle Busch. Coming in with the biggest points lead in chase history, Kyle boasts 8 wins, and up till a few weeks ago was on pace to potentially break Jeff Gordon's modern era win record. However, a choke to Carl Edwards at Bristol after leading 400 plus laps, along with payback last week from Dale Jr., has greatly stunted his hopes. But Kyle is still confident, and in many eyes is the favorite. The only man that's been able to keep up with him this year is Carl Edwards. The 99 team has been good, and to be right with Kyle in total points scored if not for a points penalty the team withstood earlier in the year. They have prevailed though, with 6 wins, and probably Carl's best shot at the championship in his career thus far. Third behind him though is the man trying to go for 3 in a row, Jimmy Johnson. The 48 team has been good, but not great. They have won the last 2 weeks, giving crew chief Chad Knaus optimism that this team is warming up at the right time. If the duo can win this year, it would be only the second time a driver has won 3 championships in a row, and the first time ever for a crew chief. Fourth is Dale Earnhardt Jr. in his first year with Hendrick Motorsports. He has provided a lot of optimism for the most popular driver. Whilst he is a step down from the top 3, Jr. has shown the most speed he has had since 2006, and is ready to attack the opportunity for his first title in his career. Fifth is Clint Bowyer, winner of this race a year ago, and they feel very confident about today's car. They put behind them the scare that occurred last week where they were nearly out of the chase, but now they feel like they can do what they did last year and be a dark horse favorite to potentially win it. Sixth is Denny Hamlin, a driver who's had a modest yet good season. Denny has expressed that he feels that they need to step it up this year, or if not, some discussions about the 11 team are going to need to be had in order to get them to what he believes is a championship contending team. Seventh is Jeff Burton, hoping to start this chase well at his best track. Burton has had good runs the last 2 years, and with a swarm of controversy over his title sponsor AT&T not being allowed in the sport due to Sprint, the series title sponsor, being a direct competitor, some wonder that if Burton wins, what exactly would occur? Eighth is Tony Stewart, ready to put last week behind him. Him and crew chief Greg Zipadelli have gone with the mantra to say that last week's blow-up was nothing, and that people are conflating it. But what is a big deal is Stewart's 2009 plans. He will leave the 20 team, the one he has won 2 titles with, and move to his own car at Stewart Haas Racing. He'll end a relationship with Greg Zipadelli that has spanned a decade, and they hope to end that with another championship. Ninth is Greg Biffle, a man who hasn't won since his controversial victory at Kansas last year. Consistency is a benefit to this team, but victories are needed if they want to have a shot at the title. 10th is a man with no victories in 2008, a first since 1993 for him, Jeff Gordon. The 24 is a good pace all year, but something seems to always hinder his shot at victory. Regardless, Gordon is committed to another attempt at title number 5, and keeping his win streak alive as well. 11th since Kevin Harvick, a man who thrives on the 6th to 13th finishing positions. Kevin is incredibly good at making a day have a positive benefit, but has been far from carrying race-winning pace all season. Nearing 2 years since his last race win, the 2007 Daytona 500, one victory could transform this team from a top 10 runner to a championship threat. All they need is that one victory, and that's easier said than done. And the last chaser this year is Matt Kenseth. Having a closer than comfortable call last week with teammate David Reagan trying to make the chase, Matt at times shows his teammates' pace, at other times seems lost. Regardless, him and the DeWalt 17 are in, and hoping to capture a little bit of their teammates' magic in the 99, and hopefully get Kenseth his second title. As mentioned before, the field is in order of points due to qualifying being rained out. Therefore, the chasers start 1 through 12 in the order of seeding. And as the sun fights to poke through the clouds, we go green in the 5th chase.
Pace car pulls away, and as the field heads out of turn 4, the 2008 chase for the Sprint Cup is officially underway.
I can't imagine what's going to happen in the corner. You can hear them spin the tires on the straightaway right there, so we know there's not a lot of grip out there. They were ready to go.
Kyle Busch gets the lead early, grabbing the first bonus points of the chase. Junior moves to 3rd as Johnson falls back 3 wide through the top 10. Edwards soon rolls back up on Kyle, attacking for the lead with Junior and Bowyer behind him. He gets the lead, with Busch falling back into a 3-man race for 2nd. Stewart catches them as Bowyer clears ahead of Stewart now, and attacks Kyle Busch for 3rd. He gets him, and now Junior attacks Kyle for 4th. He is checking up the entire field, and soon Kyle loses another spot. He then reports that he thinks something is very wrong with the car, and soon it becomes visually apparent. The car is leaned way over to the one side, indicating to the crew that someone either forgot to attach or the mount simply broke for the sway bar. With all the weight swaying to the right side of the car, it is a handful for Kyle, as he borderline wrecks it off of every corner. They're now just praying for a caution, which they will get at lap 35. Tony meanwhile gets Bowyer for 2nd, and early on Carl Edwards has a 50-point lead in the chase. He soon laps past the young Joey Logano, making his first career start. As Bowyer falls back to 5th, the competition caution comes out, giving everybody a break. They all spirit down pit lane, with the 18 teams swarming the M&M's Camry, trying to avoid what would be their first mulligan of the chase. Edwards, Stewart, and Johnson win the race off pit road, with Junior falling 6 spots. The 18 team continues to repair the car, falling down a lap. Joey Logano, in his first ever Cup pit stop, yanks the jack out of the stall, and now the race will restart again on lap 41. Stewart attacks, but Carl holds on. As the 18 team realizes they didn't fix the issue, they find out what happened though. No one forgot to mount it, the bolt actually snapped, creating an almost irreparable situation though. Johnson meanwhile goes for 2nd, and Junior charges back up to 5th. Eventually the 48 starts chasing down Carl Edwards, getting side by side with him and clearing him in the turn 1. Johnson laps the 18 to Kyle Busch, and now 120 points are put between him and the 48 in standings. Edwards fails to 4th, whilst Tony, stating that this is quote the best car he's had all season, begins chasing down the 48. Toward the mid-pack, Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, and Denny Hamlin motor along, all struggling with various issues in regard to their car. Whilst they seem in trouble, a caution comes out for another chaser that is in a far worse position.
Trouble at New Hampshire. The top chase contender, Kyle Busch, has been involved in an accident. Spun
26 ran into it.
2 of the cars. Here's what happened.
Well, he's been trying to do this by himself all day with the problems that he's had, and finally the car just got away from him. There's a lot of smoke there.
Everything's fine right here. You can see he's down in the grass, no damage. Gonna drive around here now and get some tires, try to fix this bolt, and then bam.
The first mulligan is spent as Kyle Busch just lost it, eventually having the 26 and 6 wreck into him from a checkup behind. Kevin Harvick weaves through the crash and comes down pit lane, taking 4 tires and fuel. Johnson wins the race off, with Stewart, Junior, and Edwards behind him for the restart. Junior attacks Johnson, getting by and leading a lap. Tony Stewart, meanwhile, was nowhere to be seen at the front, getting into the 70 car and having to battle back from 34th due to damage repairs after the pit stop. He hypes the team up on the radio, and back up in 3rd, Kurt Busch attacked Carl Edwards. He gets him as they race past lap 100, and Greg Biffle, now charging toward the front, passes Carl. He catches Kurt for 3rd soon after. and looks at the two Hendrick cars in front of him. They race past lap 120 as lap traffic closes up the top three, Biffle eventually getting the Johnson. The race really begins to get into a rhythm past lap 140 as Junior laps up to Michael Waltrip, holding a 4-second lead. Green flag pit stops eventually are underway, just past halfway. Biffle getting by Johnson, then immediately pitting, and a 4-tire stop for all as Hamlin, Gordon, Bowyer, and then Junior all come in. Dale has a rough stop along with Johnson, and suddenly, Tony, during his stops, gets devastating news. Speeding on pit road. He pulls back down, going at least one lap down, and now not only does he have to recover from the poor pit stop and damage repairs, but also a fatal error. Through the green flag struggles, Greg Biffle is right behind Junior, who still struggles in traffic. Biffle sends it and gets the lead from the 88, and then the 16 runs away. Johnson eventually grabs second from his teammate, who continues to fight in traffic. And the third Hendrick chaser, meanwhile, is fighting Juan Pablo Montoya for 12th. Earnhardt loses third to Jeff Burton, and Dale continues to plummet through the field, getting passed by Kurt. Edwards and others soon follow, putting him to 8th, and Ryan Newman drops a cylinder. This gives a spot to Tony Stewart, who has fought back to 26th, and Biffle holds a rough second lead over Johnson until everyone gets a break with a debris caution. The very real debris caution brings everyone in, and Johnson comes off first, over Hamlin, Biffle, Edwards, and Burton. Johnson holds the points lead now as the race restarts with 80 laps to go. He builds a good lead until caution for Joe Nemechek knocking down the wall in the front stretch happens. Tony Stewart gets the lucky dog here, and Kevin Harvick has moved inside the top 10. Denny Hamlin, meanwhile, pits from second, a strategy call stating that they could not make it on gas, and now they feel they have made the ultimate call to actually win the race, as they don't think anybody can make it from here by just staying out. The only thing that would ruin Denny Hamlin's strategy is if the race doesn't go green.
Still outside. Still 3 wide. You'll be clear to the top of the list there.
Inside.
Clear to 66. Right to you behind.
Inside corner.
41. Enter corner on the bottom. On the bottom.
Range on the bottom.
Inside, both sides. Clear up behind the 24. Clear up.
41 to 66.
Crash behind you. Crash behind you.
Caution's out. Caution's out. Take spin behind you.
Hard contact out of turn 4, 17, Matt Kenseth. Heavy damage. There's the 45. Chad McCumbee involved.
The massive wreck takes out Kenseth, and Kyle Busch takes out the commitment cone. Going 5 wide causes a red flag, stopping the cars right before turn 3, and adding many caution laps. Bowyer and Gordon narrowly avoid the accident, and Matt Kenseth has his first DNF of the year at possibly the worst time. The race gets back under yellow, and eventually green with 66 laps left. Johnson pulls away again, but only for a second as Biffle closes back in. Burton is all over Edwards for third, and back at the front, Greg will not let Johnson get away. 50 to go, as Johnson holds on and Stewart fights up to the top 12. Many chasers keep moving up further to the front with 40 to go, and Johnson is looking for 3 wins in a row to start his run for 3 in a row. Caution eventually comes out as AJ Allmendinger crashes, and the field stays out until Tony Stewart and the franchise come down pit road. With 29 to go, the race restarts, and the top 5, who are all chasers, sprint away from the lappers. Bowyer falls to 17th during this run, having a horrendous day compared to what they thought they were actually going to have. Under 22 laps to go, Harvick and Gordon race hard just inside the top 10, until another caution from David Reagan going around comes out. Clint Bowyer now pits under this caution, needing wholesale adjustments to recover what should have been a good day for them. With 17 to go, the race restarts again, but quickly stops for another caution with Patrick Carpentier being dumped by Robbie Gordon. Jeff Gordon, who has an immaculate wreck avoidance, needs to come down pit lane for flat spotting the tires, and now we'll have to restart back in the field with 13 to go. The racing is intense throughout the entire pack, as Biffle this time is all over Johnson again, and gets him into turn 3. Johnson attempts to cross over, but can't do it, and the speed that Biffle has seemingly come out of nowhere. He hadn't been able to get past the 40 on multiple restarts beforehand, but now it seems like he's been unleashed. He has now realized the reason why he wasn't going past Johnson was because he was saving fuel on those restarts. And Greg Irwin, his crew chief, gave him the call to go. And now, with 7 laps left, he is gone. Johnson tries to close, but coming to the white, it's all 16.
And Greg Biffle says, and hold on.
We asked at the beginning of the day who would step up. A year ago, it was Clint Boyer who got his very first career victory here. Well, Biffle has won before, but he has not won in over a year. What a good time for this Roush Fenway team and Greg Biffle to get hot. Biffle to pick up his very first win of 2008 and his first win ever in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Race number 1 in the Chase's history, and Greg Biffle wins it. Wow.
Biffle wins over Johnson, Edwards, Burton, and Jr. Stewart recovers to an 8th place finish ahead of Hamlin in 9th. Harvick gets a top 10, with Boyer and Gordon 12th and 14th. And for Kyle Busch, who finished 34th, the gap for the number 1 seed, now 8th in standings, is 74 after race 1. The Monster Mile sits bathed in sun on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Greg Biffle, last week's winner, has had an incredible week with a roll of momentum and expresses that he feels even more confident about this week than the one prior. Biffle will have to start 5th today, behind pole sitter Jeff Gordon, who leads us to the green flag.
For decades, drivers have called this place the Monster Mile. They know it as a 3-story high concrete cage that can crash cars and crush championship dreams in the blink of an eye. 43 drivers have visions of victory. 12 are also thinking championship, but can they escape the wrath of the monster? We are all about to find out together.
Jeff grabs lap 1 as Hamlin gets 2nd from his starting spot, and Biffle moves up to 3rd. But as soon as the race starts, it is halted by our first caution, as Kurt Busch backs it into the wall. Menard spins avoiding the accident, and Tony Stewart from his 33rd starting spot has an incredible wreck avoidance. Stewart is not the only chaser starting at the rear today. Harvick rolled off 24th, Carl Edwards 22nd. The race restarts on lap 6, Gordon holding strong, and his teammate Jimmy Johnson starts battling up from his starting spot of 20th. Carl Edwards is following him along with Jeff Burton, but before they can get any further, a dangerously close call happens for the 99 and 48.
Over in 11th.
Oh, we got trouble off 2.
And car sideways.
Oh, Carl.
Right in front of the 99 is the 10
Carl
car.
Edwards got a piece of that.
Yeah, Patrick Carpentier loops around.
I did everything I could there.
Yeah, I think he's going to have left front and right front damage. Now, speaking of Carl Edwards.
Not real bad. I'm going to stay out.
Johnson, who is practically next to the 10, and the 99 who nudges him, somehow has no damage. Under this yellow, Biffle pits by himself, stating the car is, quote, horrendous. His teammate Carl Edwards, meanwhile, stays out, not concerned one bit over the contact he had with the 10 car. Gordon leads again on lap 17 as chasers continue their rise. Jr. gets Boyer for 6th, opening the door for the franchise and Kyle Busch. Jamie McMurray starts an assault on teammate Matt Kenseth for position, and eventually works all the way up to 2nd past Hamlin as well. In a blink of an eye, McMurray is suddenly all over Jeff Gordon for the lead, and he screams past the 24, setting sail as Hamlin fades to 5th. Meanwhile, Carl Edwards has driven to 8th, and Johnson is right behind him as they both pass by Dale Jr. Tony Stewart is also on the move, inside the top 20, before our 3rd caution for Joe Nemechek. This brings everyone down pit road, taking 4 tires and fuel, and having Matt Kenseth win the race off over Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin. McMurray falls to 4th with a replacement crew. After the 26 missed the chase, the team was gutted to improve other Roush cars pitting, and has created a disorganized situation. But sadly, the lack of chemistry is punishing McMurray by filing him back in the field. The race restarts on lap 70, Kenseth running off whilst Gordon holds 2nd. The field is tight throughout the pack, with Stewart in the middle of it. he races hard with teammate Denny Hamlin. The 11 sped on pit road, putting him in the eye of the storm and ruining his great track position. Back at the front, McMurray is already up to third, and he's attacking Gordon for second. He gets him, and immediately chases his teammate in the 17. Gordon soon loses third and fourth to both Mark Martin and Carl Edwards. He isn't as bad, though, as teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. The 88 has slid all the way back to 25th, and he's reporting the car is absolutely miserable. This run is clouded by a myriad of conspiracy theories this week in regards to Dale Jr. apparently not having the health or ability to last long races. This run sadly only fuels those negative thoughts. As Kenseth closes on lapping the 88, the race passes by lap 110. Matt eventually gets to Robbie Gordon and begins to struggle lapping the 7 car. This allows McMurray to close, but Mark Martin is soon there as well, and in the mayhem he gets second. Carl soon closes in on all of them from 4th, and Mark, trying to hold second, stutters in turn 2, giving the spot back to Jamie, and falling into the clutches of Carl as well. Meanwhile, Greg Biffle has fought back up to 6th, and Kyle Busch is riding 10th, but suddenly a report comes in from the driver. It's blowing up. The 18 is beginning to lay over and is losing speed, but just as they are beginning to worry about that,
He just been passed. Oh, got trouble with
88 tire boy right there. Yeah, the right rear tire's going on the 88 car.
Stay low there. Stay low. Just a little quarter panel damage. He'll be fine. You ain't gonna tear it up. Go ahead.
the 88 has the rear quarter panel shredded, and now is in full recovery with an awful car. The 18 is pouring smoke. He comes in with everyone else, and is reporting oil inside the cockpit. Kenseth and Edwards win the race off pit road, and on borrowed time, the 18 restarts the race. The Roush car is run off before another caution for AJ Allmendinger. No one pits under this yellow, and Kyle Busch is still going with smoke spewing from the car. The race restarts again, with Roush cars running off like before. But sadly, they'll leave behind Jamie McMurray.
pretty good here. He's staying with these leaders. If he can just kind of get right there in that spot and run a few laps and get a caution, he'll get back on the lead lap. They're doing a good job so far. Oh, we got trouble off turn 2 here. Robbie Gordon, turn 3.
And there's the 7 car of Robbie Gordon.
Side damage.
Wow.
The 26 will continue, but his competitive day is done. He's frustrated with Robbie Gordon and shows it. The race restarts again on lap 167. Kyle's still going. Again, the Roush boys leave, and Sam Orders hits the wall off of turn 4 and wrecks all the way down the front stretch until he finally loses it in the turn 1. Debris flew off over Jeff Burton and Jimmy Johnson. And then the 18 finally goes kaboom. With this locks Kyle Busch in borderline desperation mode. He has to win next week and or finish top 5 nearly every race from here on out. If he does not perform at a consistently elite level for the next 8 races, his championship run will be over. It is a far cry from what he was just 2 weeks ago, and sitting in the garage, the race will restart without him on lap 179. Jeff Gordon during this is 18th. Needing dire adjustments to fix the 24, they had him pit under the caution, taking him further back, hopefully setting them up for good strategy. This time the field spreads out quick, but another caution again for the 77 spinning brings them all together and again down pit road. Some take 4, others take 2, and the 48 stays out on track. Knaus is working a zany strategy, one that many think won't work out. The race restarts with 210 laps to go, Johnson ahead of Newman and Dave Blaney, and Jeff Gordon rides 5th now, crossing past halfway. The race seems to be going long. Johnson starting to build an enormous lead as the race continues green. That will only help him stay 1 lap down, as they eventually will have to pit. The race runs to 174 to go, as the 48 is in a dire situation. Strategy has changed from hoping a caution comes out to praying that it stays green. The goal now, they have to make it to 160 to go, so they can have it be a 1-stop race home from there. Whilst everyone is on a 2-stopper, Johnson makes what could be his second to last stop. Kyle Edwards, meanwhile, takes the lead and control of the chase. With it, Bob Osborne now sees the stopwatch. The 48 is fast, and in big chunks. Biffle during this gets Matt for second. Suddenly, the 48 speeds pull many of the leaders down pit lane 15 to 20 laps early. One of the cars not in the pit lane is the 11, sitting in the garage. They had to come in due to the rear end leaking grease. He has burnt up the rear end after the grease leaked out of it, and now they have to replace it, in effect ending his good run. As the 11 sinks in points, the majority of Hamlin's rear end grease ended up on the windshield of the 16. Biffle over the last few laps has been screaming for a tear-off. The leaders all pit, and it puts Johnson back in the lead on the cycle. With the 48 leading, 42 cars still run on track as Hamlin eventually gets back out 30 plus laps down. That means the only car officially out of the race is Kyle Busch. Eventually caution is out for debris. Johnson leads the charge down pit lane and the charge off. He holds the lead over Edwards and Biffle and takes them to the restart with just over 100 laps left. With the Roush boys behind, Johnson is outnumbered and is split 3 wide for the lead. Biffle on the high side spirits the point, whilst Johnson falls back to 4th. Eventually Mark Martin gets Johnson and chases down and grabs 3rd from Kenseth. As Biffle and Edwards run off with the lead, Carl wants his front position back and pounces on his teammate getting it. Biffle soon is greeted by Mark Martin, who is humming on the track, and he moves to 2nd and goes after Edwards in lap traffic. Matt gets Biffle for 3rd as caution comes out for Juan Pablo Montoya blowing a tire. Strategy's in the air now as everybody comes down. Carl says he wants to take 4, and he'll pass anyone who gets 2. Bob Osborne takes 2 tires, and it makes the 99 the only car with such strategy. Mark Martin, now 2nd, the first car on 4 tires, feels he's in prime opportunity to strike as we restart with 44 to go. He attacks the 99, and the 2 clear through 1 and 2 with Kenseth and Biffle battling for 3rd behind him. Mark, however, slips up and he lets the 17 by, and soon it's Matt who is on the prowl. He sees redemption for 2006 ahead, and under 30 to go, both he and now Biffle are all over Carl. He gives him a bump, sending a signal. With 27 left, Biffle is there as well, wanting both Carl and Kenseth for position. Side by side they race, working all 3 lanes, and Matt fires low and gets both of them. Greg passes by Carl as well, and as the 29 now fades with 21 laps left, it's 16 versus 17 for the race win in Delaware. They work each other lap after lap, to under 15 to go, constantly getting side by side but not enough to clear. Traffic looms as the battle continues, and Carl comes back with one last hurrah. The 2 race to 10 laps left, Matt clearing into 3, but Greg giving him a shot. Matt is 1 inch from clearing off of 2 the next lap, but respects Biffle's nose. He works up a tad and just makes a tiny bit of contact with the front end of Biffle's car, nearly taking both drivers out. Biffle screams to the high side, recognizing the faint flinch that Matt Kenseth has given him. And off of turn 4, he clears with 8 laps left. But now, sailing it back down in the 1, there's wisps of a tire rub on the front fender of Greg Biffle's Ford Fusion. And the question is, will it last? They sail past traffic to the white flag, and with 1 mile left, Biffle can see back to back.
See him get the white flag here, but Greg Biffle learned from that and kind of took it easy.
We said when the day began, 43 drivers had visions of victory. 12 of them are thinking championship, and right now, Greg Biffle will go back to back for wins in the 2008 chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Biffle beats the monster and wins at Dover, Delaware.
A Roush 1-2-3 with their chasers, and Jimmy Johnson gets 5th. Harvick fights the 6th, Gordon 7th, and Boyer, Burton, and Stewart round out the top 11. With 2 races down and 8 left, it's a 10-point lead for Carl in standings over Jimmy and Biffle. And now Biffle, with all the momentum, is going into a track last year he won at, looking for the hat trick. After a 1-2-3 finish, Roush is hoping to carry momentum in a track they won 2 of the last 3 years at. Jack Roush is optimistic, but also in mourning. Earlier this week, good friend and former driver for Jack, actor Paul Newman, passed away. His team is hoping that today could be a win for the whole Newman family, as they try to put one of their cars in victory lane. Today, Jimmy Johnson will start on the pole though, with Matt Kenseth in 3rd, and former Roush driver Mark Martin to his outside in 2nd. Mark had a massive wreck in the nationwide race yesterday, and whilst sore, is looking to complete all 400 miles today. As the field rolls off, Jeff Burton sits still. The tachometer isn't working, and they now have to swap it out. They do get it, but they'll have to start last on the field, not far from Tony Stewart, who actually will start 41st in front of him. In total, 8 of the 12 chasers will start 24th or worse today, giving a great advantage to Jimmie Johnson, who leads the field to the green.
It is stop number 3 in the 2008 chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, and here they come to the green flag.
Green, green, green.
As Johnson clears through the first corner, black flag is displayed for Clint Bowyer. He changed lanes before the start of the race, and now has to pit under green. He holds his lead lap only by a couple of seconds, ahead of Jimmie Johnson, running 43rd. Many of the chasers try to go race through the field early, as Stewart climbs to 27th quickly. Jeff Gordon, who has been ill all weekend, is currently 10th, saying that he's okay, even though that he said this is the worst he has ever felt in a race car. After 16 laps, Kenseth attacks Johnson and gets the lead. Edwards, meanwhile, moves up to 17th, brawling slowly through the field. He passes by Kyle Busch, who suddenly starts fading quickly. He reports that he thinks there is another engine failure looming. He falls back, praying yet again for another caution. And as they charge through 38 laps, Kenseth leads as Johnson falls to 4th. Martin Truex Jr. looks pretty good early, moving up through the top 5, and Jeff Gordon up to 7th, with his backup driver Brett Keselowski being outside the track in a production truck for DirecTV, says that the car feels pretty good, but still feels ill. The race continues with one chaser making zero progress, Denny Hamlin. He is up to 28th, but only from 30th, and he currently is getting passed by Jeff Burton. And whilst the 11 fades, the 1 takes the lead, right before Matt Kenseth makes his first pit stop around lap 50. The cycle starts as Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart have a close moment on pit road, and Kyle under this cycle grabs 5 bonus points, but it's borderline pointless, as the car is slow and terrible. The cycle finishes up with Carl Edwards having an insane moment on pit road, nearly ending his race in one fell move. Matt Kenseth regains his lead as 400 cars run top 11. Eventually, caution comes out for Ryan Newman touching the wall, bringing everyone down pit road. Johnson, in the same car that he won Indy and Fontana in, has an abysmal stop, while Dave Blaney bowling balls Jeff Burton and Carl Edwards. Matt Kenseth, after stops, has come back down, having a missing lug nut. Combine that with the aforementioned 48's poor pit stop, this leaves Casey Mears in the lead on lap 80. Kyle Busch, a lap down, races his former car, stating something weird is going on. Almost like that the car isn't blowing up, but instead having something block the intake. Jimmy and Jeff race for 3rd as the 5 runs away from the field. And eventually it comes out to a Hendrick 1-2-3 before caution for Kyle Petty spinning through the grass. Kyle Busch gets the lucky dog, and everyone pits. Everyone except Casey Mears. And there's some 2-tire strategy and 4 tires, with Mark Martin and Elliott Sadler ahead of Jimmie Johnson coming out the pit lane. The race restarts on lap 99 with Jeff Burton one of the 3 cars who stayed out or took 2 tires. Johnson, meanwhile, slices through traffic and eventually gets the lead back on lap 107. However, he can't pull away as caution is out for Joey Logano slapping the fence. Everybody pits again with Truex winning the race off pit lane, over Johnson and Bowyer who all took 2. Tony Stewart in the back gets caught for speeding, meanwhile, and nearly hits the gas man on the 83 car. The race restarts just shy of halfway as Martin Truex Jr. tries to pull away from Johnson. The 18 team then reports to Kyle that they pulled a massive piece of paper out of the cowl, which confirmed Kyle's theories. As Kyle begins his recovery drive and a battle for the lead begins to heat up,
That opening, it actually just took all the air off the engine at times, and that could well be what it is.
Jeff Gordon.
Oh, trouble.
Whoa, trouble in turn 2.
Get your hand up, get your hand up.
Kenseth sideways right in front of Mears and Edwards.
Stay down there.
This is probably going to work out okay for Matt. I thought he might slide up in front of these guys, but he gets real lucky.
Well, what a job he did to keep the car down off of the groove in the racetrack, and Edwards and Mears right behind him able to get by.
Matt got spun by Casey Mears, and the avoidance of hitting the wall keeps him alive in the chase. Casey apologizes as the race restarts again on lap 137, and Harvick races 3 wide for 9th. Johnson is again all over Truex, and suddenly Tony Stewart goes spiraling through the infield grass. Doesn't look like much damage has been done to the 20 car, and appears he just ran up into the side of the 83 car. And whilst some splitter braces are broken, they continue on. The race restarts again, with Bowyer racing Gordon for 4th, and they nearly lose it, and Johnson finally gets the lead from Truex. He quickly builds a 2-second gap, as Carl Edwards comes alive charging through the top 10. Towards lap 155, he moves up to 3rd place, running faster than the leader. Eventually, he passes by Truex for 2nd, and the top 2 in points are 1-2 on track. Tony during the run comes down pit lane, desperately needing to fix the splitter. The broken brace lets it droop down, and has been slowly grinding off the entire center section of the splitter. This will undoubtedly be Tony Stewart's mulligan of the chase. As the race wanders to under 100 laps to go, Edwards closes in on Johnson, and he dirt tracks it off at turn 4 as they begin the race. Eventually, with 93 to go, he gets the 48, right before a pit cycle, and eventually a flurry of drivers all pit. And after the cycle, Johnson is back out in front with 82 laps left. But Carl is only a second back, and a push for the lead is a pass for the championship at this point. But also a mistake, with all 43 cars still running, could be detrimental to a championship hopes. Carl shoves Jimmy down the backstretch, eventually grabbing the lead from him. He's able to open up a nearly 5-second gap immediately after, until caution for Travis Kvapil skimming the wall. Everybody comes in under this caution for final stops, with Johnson making a couple air pressure adjustments and winning the race off pit road. Edwards comes off 2nd and Bowyer speeds, putting him on massive recovery drive with 45 laps left. Edwards on the restart pushes Johnson, clearing both of them, and Bowyer starts fighting from 17th. This all happens before a caution with Michael Waltrip and Sam Hornish Jr. Denny Hamlin darts down pit lane, trying to avoid the accident. This sets up another restart with just 40 laps left, Johnson clearing again. Jeff Gordon is now in 3rd following both the leaders, and Martin Truex Jr. slows and goes to the garage with mechanical issues. We're now down to 36 laps left, and Carl stalks the 48. When you're 30 to go, and the gap is 1.5 seconds. Johnson's shooting to just make lap time long enough for Carl not to catch him, knowing the long run speed of the 99. With 22 to go, the gap is 7 tenths, and the air pressure adjustment has made Johnson slightly better on the long run. But the question is, for how long? With 15 to go, Greg Biffle says on the radio, quote, "It's over." He thinks that he has a tire going down. Instead, he runs up to the 24 and begins a battle. 10 laps are to go, and the gap is still a second. 7 to go, and the gap is 7 tenths. And traffic wreaks havoc on the leaders with 5 laps left. And it's 5 tenths. Carl is on pace to catch Johnson, but again lap traffic slows him, and with 3 to go, he's wheeling it trying to close on the 48. He is borderline sending it into the corner, nearly in the wall, and coming to the white flag, he is in the mindset that it is Hail Mary time.
He's got a fight on his hands here this last lap. White flag.
Get you somebody. Let's go get it now.
That was big right there. Jimmy Johnson took that away. Carl Edwards is going to get to the outside of him and have a chance to make the pass. Still might get him right here.
Here he comes, digging up off the corner, turn 2, half a lap away from the checkered flag.
And what's Jimmy Johnson do here? He goes to that high side. Carl Edwards is going to go to the bottom. There we go. Oh, goes right by him. Can it car stick? Here comes Jimmy Johnson. He's in the wall.
Here comes Jimmy.
We're back inside now.
Oh, wow.
Carl Edwards trying to hang on. Here comes Jimmy Johnson down, and Johnson will take the win.
How good is that? Wow.
That's a finish right there, boys.
And the
Biffle gets the 24.
Biffle will get Jeff Gordon. Wow.
After the brass ball move by Edwards, Johnson ends up victorious. Biffle ends up getting Gordon on the final corner at the line, and Kenseth fought back to 5th. Harvick again gets a 6th place finish, and Jeff Burton 7th. Tony Stewart would end up 40th, but his teammate Kyle Busch, whilst finishing 28th, has now had 3 very bad runs. He didn't end up having a mechanical failure, or didn't wreck, but Kyle's poor result again today has ended his chase run. Doesn't matter how many wins you have coming into the chase, it's what you do during it. And what he has done has made him become our first elimination in the 5th chase.
And make it bigger, make it faster.
On a beautiful day in Alabama, no chaser will start in the top 10. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who has been on the fringe as of late, has blown an engine and wrecked a car this weekend, setting him far behind, but is still at his best track. Travis Kvapil is the pole sitter over Casey Mears to his outside, and last week's winner, Jimmie Johnson, will start last due to checking his engine to make sure what caused the 88's failure won't cause him a failure either. With the 28 leading at Talladega, we take the green flag on a beautiful fall afternoon.
For some in their chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup title. 500 miles of hold your breath, white knuckle stock car racing, folks. This is Talladega.
Kvapil holds the lead early as Mike Wallace, driving a one-off in a 33 car, leads the high line, being pushed by Brian Vickers. Through 5 laps, Kvapil leads with Jimmie Johnson nearly losing the draft at the back. Carl Edwards works through the field early and grabs a lead lap before falling back to the rear. He is still ahead of Jimmie Johnson though, who is now 17 seconds off the pack. He has completely lost the draft, and he is begging for a yellow at this point because he is risking going a lap down. By lap 20, David Reagan leads with Travis Kvapil as fellow Fords, whilst Gordon and Stewart lead the outside line. By lap 25, Johnson is already about to get lapped and blocks the field partially before it is 4 wide behind him, trying to hold the lucky dog. Through lap 30, the field remains somewhat calm, Johnson easily holding the lucky dog position, and they lap up to Robbie Gordon before a debris caution. The debris caution that was called right in between the 4-second span of them lapping the 7 and before Johnson could pass the 7 car, who is out of line. The 48 now is officially trapped a lap down. Everyone comes in except Carl Edwards, who stays out to avoid the chaos on pit road. Robbie Gordon, meanwhile, loses his lucky dog privileges for fueling twice under yellow. The race restarts on lap 39, with Jeff Gordon leading. Burton works up there as well, and Junior and Johnson work together to try and get the lead and a lead lap back. Matt Kenseth eventually gets the lead out of everyone, while Hendrick congregates on the bottom groove. All this chaos is happening in front of Carl Edwards, who is employing the same strategy Jeff Gordon did last year. Just ride and wait. Eventually, caution is out for debris in the tri-oval, waved down by Chad Canales with their official. The large piece of metal gives Jimmy his lap back, and everybody comes down again. Sadler has the lead on the restart on lap 50, but suddenly Hamlin and Kyle Busch hook up and draft away from the field. Everyone is somewhat perplexed as another pair do the same exact thing. They continue racing on, not thinking much about that, until...
Go all the way to the front. Around these guys, they made the long way around and went to the front. Oh, trouble!
David Ruderman sideways.
Right rear tires up down on this 44. Oh no, Jeff Gordon's torn up. Oh man, this is going to kill him in points.
And he is nosed into the wall.
How bad is it?
The 24 is totaled. After having nowhere to go when the franchise had a tire let go, he has now used his first mulligan. The 48 hit the carcass, breaking a splitter brace. Otherwise, has gotten away relatively clean from being behind a nasty wreck. Many top off for fuel only, causing chaos on pit road. And Brian Vickers leads on the restart with Harvick, Kenseth, and Burton all working together. Hamlin pushes to the lead, but then Mike Skinner takes it from him in the 84. The field gets 3 wide, leading to a shuffle at the front. It's Sorensen, it's Truex, and then Casey Kane goes free-falling through the field 4 wide. Pushing is obsessive, and more jostling continues until...
And the big one has happened at Talladega. Carnage all over the front straightaway here at the exit of pit road. Cars that have just been ripped apart. Martin Truex.
Blue on the 83, guys. Right front tire on the 83, and you saw the rest of
Dale
it.
Jr. is the leader of the race. Oh, right there. Man. Yeah, tire blows.
Well, he just gets misses the 31. 9 cars involved into the 38.
Look at Bobby Labonte. He's fishing his way through that. I'm telling you, he missed 2 or 3 guys by inches. Then you see Martin Truex had a hard lick on that inside wall.
How did the 31 not get hit here? Watch the car come across right to Burton, right there.
Ooh,
My
that was
goodness.
close.
Well, didn't we say in the top of this you had to be lucky?
Chaos has engulfed the front stretch at Talladega. The red flag is almost immediately displayed as the casualties of the wreck begin being accounted for. The start of the wreck has found to be from yet another cut tire, this time from the 83, right in front of the entire field. Somehow, by some act of God, Burton, Kenseth, Hamlin, Harvick, and Bowyer all avoided what would have been an elimination. Truex, Gilliland, and countless other chasers have their races ended, and Greg Biffle has an entire tear-off stuck on his grill. Johnson and Edwards, meanwhile, had to drive through a blizzard and came out into a warm Alabama sun, and with an opportunity to still improve their track position. Many take 4 with the concerns of blowing out tires, also with running over the debris. The only one who doesn't is Dale Earnhardt Jr., confident in their setup and getting back to the lead. After a 17-minute red flag, Hamlin eventually gets the lead with David Reagan on the restart. But once more, the pack turns into an ever-shuffling deck of cards. Stewart and Kenseth are there now, then Jimmy Johnson, then Mike Wallace, and then 100,000 beer-buzzed race fans come to their feet and cheer as Dale Jr. takes the lead. He battles with teammate Jimmy Johnson and Mike Wallace. Eventually, Tony works up there as well. And then, another tire, this time from Mike Wallace. Mike somehow holds on, unlike everyone else. And now Michael Waltrip comes in and is handed a hammer that he must use on the inside of his car. He begins smashing the roof above him, trying to bang out the dents from nailing the debris off the 33 car. Johnson comes in with the field, and a man dives in the car, swapping out the rev chip in the ECU. They believe part of the reason why Johnson is so slow is because the car is not allowed to idle higher, and is being choked down by what they had with the previous chip in the ECU. Kyle Busch leads on the restart at lap 87, with Gordon heading back on track 33 laps down. The racing is intense, as Junior screams to the field with his old car. He makes a daredevil move and takes the lead, with many wowed by what is going on with these enormous runs from the pushes. And now nobody can hold the lead. The shuffling continues at the front with chasers Hamlin and Kenseth, until
points, looking for a win here, his first at Talladega, never won here before for Tony Stewart, been pretty racy, top 10 for a while. We have trouble, guys.
Close out, yellow, yellow, yellow.
Denny Hamlin in the wall, the leader, another problem now.
You
up
okay,
front.
Denny?
Denny has had a myriad of problems this chase, and a blown tire is simply another snag in a trial by fire 4 races for him. Denny will not be given the luxury of walking away from this chase with dignity. Instead, he is put on a backboard and stretchered away to a local hospital. Eliminated from the 5th chase. Under caution, Scott Riggs wins the race off pit road with Quapple in second. They lead on the restart on lap 105, but Menard and Almirola jump them on the restart. This time the field feels much thinner, not nearly on top of one another. The shuffling doesn't end though. With 70 to go, Kenseth and Burton holding up front, till the field finally breaks back to 3-wide racing. It's short-lived as it trains out to Harvick leading with 63 laps left. And second to last stops are coming up on the day. Back near the front is Travis Quapple, still leading in the 28 car for Robert Yates. Quapple during press after his pole admittedly got teary-eyed, noting the emotion that would be behind winning in the 28 car at this track. With nearing 50 to go, caution is back out for Jeff Gordon, who has his day ended permanently with a blown engine. Everyone comes in and off pit road, Carl Edwards spins out. No harm, no foul on him, and they restart with 44 laps to go. Kyle Busch leads after many topped off, possibly not able to make it all the way. Over the next few laps, the field begins to string out as some save fuel and others commit to the idea they can't make it. Robbie Gordon races near the front in his 300th start, and Kenseth works well with Montoya. The shuffling continues to under 30 to go with multiple people trying to get the lead. The pushing is getting daringly aggressive, until Kevin Harvick gets it sideways in the turn 3, and caution comes out once more. Kevin is alright, but has lost his track position. Tony Stewart during the checkup heavily rear-ends the 7 car, but doesn't appear to have any damage. Many in the back pit to ensure they can make it on fuel, and with 19 laps left, the race goes back green. Immediately, aggression is turned to 99 as Carl Edwards pushes teammate Greg Biffle hard. It's time to go, and it's time for them to take control of...
There. Woo. Oh, got trouble up front.
Biffle right in front of Junior.
Carl
Kenseth is
Edwards.
in it.
Oh, and turns Quapple into the outside
get
wall.
around them.
And
Kevin, a lot of chasers involved in this one.
Oh,
17.
When you get off there, if you can drive it.
This is definitely the big one we were looking for, guys. I was hoping we had not seen, or we had seen it and we wouldn't see this, but these guys hung back all day and that's what they get in then.
We don't have any brakes.
Unlike the first one, this wreck solely features chase drivers. Carl Edwards hooked his teammate Biffle, and now Kenseth, Harvick, Quapple, and Dale Jr. are all destroyed. This race was make or break for the 88. It was at his best track, and now being able to barely roll away from the wreck, he is eliminated from the 5th chase. Under red flag, one driver marvels in how they got away from the wreck. Jimmy Johnson. Chad Knaus is in disbelief. Tells Jimmy they are out of luck and to just get this thing home. They aren't the only chaser left. Tony Stewart is the leader, looking for win number 1 on the year and at Talladega. They have a couple of RCR drivers behind in Jeff Burton and Clint Boyer. And with that, it's going to be a 10-lap shootout. Tony immediately begins blocking as a thin field begins to try and muster something for the 20 car. Elliott Sadler is without crew chief Rodney Childers, who is having twins this week, something the team believes is a sign of good luck. And with 5 laps left, Burton makes a move with Boyer until another caution for a blown tire. This sets up a green-white checkered finish, with Tony still holding strong, but he has 2 DEI cars behind him on the restart. They don't step out immediately. They ride all the way to the white, still sitting in line all the way to turn 3. The question comes through turns 3 and 4, will they make a move?
Talladega in a NASCAR Sprint Cup car.
He's going to have to do a lot of blocking right here. They've got to run on him. Got to run.
Here they come.
I can't go down there and do that, though.
Actually, I think
that.
it's legal on the last lap. He might have got it right there. I think it's legal on the last lap. We're looking next door to see.
Below the yellow line. He was below.
We still haven't got an indication, but it looks like Regan's 5th won this race.
Why would it be legal on the last lap?
That's
It's
what
not
they
for
were
187.
In the most muted photo finish ever, everyone is confused. NASCAR waits before making a ruling that Regan Smith made an illegal move. Tony Stewart wins the race then, as the rulebook is brought into heavy question. What does forcing someone mean? What are the parameters of the yellow line rule? What nobody knows is that Pandora's box just got opened in Talladega. And for Stewart, his chase hopes are more alive than ever. Rain has been in the area all weekend, and thus qualifying was washed out, leaving the field set by owner points. The top 12 starters will all be chasers, led by Jimmy Johnson and Carl Edwards, who take us to the green flag here in Charlotte.
Green flag at Lowe's Motor Speedway.
The 48 clears through one, whilst Edwards slips to Biffle. Jeff Gordon nudges the wall early on before really smacking it a couple of laps later. The 24 starts plummeting, and after 10 laps, comes down pit road. It puts him 43rd, and needs a massive recovery to avoid elimination. Tony Stewart, meanwhile, starts screaming through the field, 2/10 faster than anyone else. By lap 30, Stewart is there, and he grabs the lead, slicing through traffic. Biffle and Burton sit 5th and 6th, as Biffle starts having handling issues. Eventually the first yellow comes out for Joe Nemechek, leading to the first pit stops of the night. Everyone is in, and Johnson wins the race off pit lane over Edwards in second. Stewart with an error falls to fourth, and on the restart of lap 49, Gordon, a lap down, fights hard to get his lap back. Suddenly, Carl Edwards reports he has a vibration, and it's a loose wheel. He's going to have to pit under green, and right as they do so, a crash. The double zero is destroyed, and Gordon will get the lucky dog. Carl Edwards, meanwhile, is trapped a lap down. The team is angry and confused. Why didn't they get the lucky dog? Not understanding the specifics of how pit lane works under caution, Osborne begins pleading his case as the race restarts again on lap 60. The top two begin pulling away, after another crash stops them as Mike Skinner and Ken Schrader get together in turn 2. Bob Osborne is still furious about the ruling, but then something else happens.
You gotta ask one more time, there's just no way you can, how can I say you lose it after the yellow?
It's a joke. This is unbelievable. They said we didn't beat the 48 to the end of pit road when the caution came out.
Now Carl's still trying to figure out, along with his crew chief Bob Osborne, how they wound up a lap down. Just to re-explain the rule, there are two lines on pit road that when you're on pit road, Carl's fumbling with a lot of switches there.
Can't get that car to crank, it won't fire.
See how
Out of the restart deal.
Yeah, you can hear it turn it off, it's not cranking.
He's lost the ignition system. He's trying to switch boxes and get this thing fired back up. It's not
working either.
Well, this is a huge mistake right now, a huge problem for Carl Edwards.
Looks like they're calling off the restart right now. He's trying to get it fired up. It can be a couple
What's your
different things.
gauges say about anything? They're dead.
He might have hit the button on the
No, we
steering
got
wheel
power to the car, all the
accidentally.
fans work, everything works, just no ignition, no spark.
All right, we'll try to get pushed down pit road here. Pull the hood, see if anything's loose.
Carl will go multiple laps down, as now this will in fact be his mulligan. The race restarts without him on lap 71, with Johnson now holding a 107-point lead in the chase, putting nearly half of what is left of chasers at risk of elimination tonight. Stewart does get the lead back, and Carl does get back on track 16 laps down, but Jack Roush is gutted. Stewart begins running away, and past lap 100, he leads until Dale Jr. blows a tire, bringing out the yellow. Everyone comes down, and Tony holds his lead over Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson. Jr. relives the crash in great detail.
Pow, and then it went into the wall.
And the race restarts on lap 109. Kyle applies some pressure and gets the lead. Then Johnson attacks Tony, and Gordon is back inside the top 15 as well. He continues to fade all the way to 7th, until a caution for Mike Wallace in the 10. Some pit taking 2. 4 and few only vary throughout the entire field. But the man with the lead is Ryan Newman, who didn't pit at all, and he leads on lap 126 restart. Johnson is immediately on the attack, and they race hard, but the 12 holds on. Kyle now goes after Johnson, but he holds on, and the 48 regroups before attacking and re-grabbing the lead. Brian Vickers suddenly emerges all the way up to 2nd, and he quickly chases down Johnson in one lap and takes the lead. Past lap 155, everything is calmed, and Vickers has a lead of 6 seconds suddenly. Newman has to pit on lap 162 as Vickers increases his lead to a staggering 9 seconds. Finally, on lap 176, pit stops begin. It takes 4 laps, but Vickers holds on with a 6-second lead. And suddenly, caution comes out shortly after the cycle finishing up for debris. The entire field gets tightened up as nobody until Jeff Gordon pits. With Biffle now 2nd, Burton 3rd, Vickers leads a group of chasers, with Greg really wanting 5 bonus points. However, he is interrupted.
Biffle with Jamie.
You know why he's driving hard on that restart? It's all about points. He wants to lead so he can get those 5 extra bonus points, guys. Every single point counts when you're in the chase, sitting 2nd right now.
Trouble on the front stretch. Got Tony Raines into the outside wall.
And they clip the 17 to Kenseth, and he goes across and slams the wall. Hard impact by Travis Quapple as well.
It is over for the 17 team. A respectable year comes up 5 races short for the 2003 champion. Inconsistency was uncharacteristic for him, and with that, he's eliminated from the 5th chase. The leaders now come down, with Burton winning the race off with fuel only. However, the leaders are now Truex and Jeff Gordon, who lead on the restart. A flurry of lap cars restart ahead of them, as Mark and Martin battle for third. But another wreck on the front stretch slows the race once more. Waltrip, Mears, and Labonte are totaled as it appears they hit something on track. Johnson appeared to have also hit that as well, but did miracle work to save his Chevrolet. Harvick again meanders through another wreck, and Chad McCumbee under the caution has his hood fly up in comedic fashion. Gordon leads on the restart on lap 212, but quickly is attacked by the 8. They race close off of 4, the two neck and neck. It allows Biffle to close and Gordon finally clears ahead. The 16 does eventually get Mark as Gordon is gone out front. The gap is now 57 between Greg and Johnson with about 100 laps to go, and it continues to shrink as Johnson fades, reporting that his car is, quote, evil. Hamlin slaps the wall, but no caution comes out after Clint Bowyer sends him into it. And again the race calms before Gordon pulls away big time. He eventually pits with 83 left, and Biffle finally grabs a lap lead. He then comes in with 78 left, as Paul Menard attempts to bring a yellow out with debris scattering everywhere. As stops continue, the franchise spins on pit entry, but again, no yellow. Stewart comes in and locks it up, speeding and in effect ruining his night. Robbie Gordon eventually blows a tire from flat spotting it, and dumps debris everywhere down the backstretch, finally bringing out a yellow. As the field paces around, the leader, Jeff Gordon, pits and becomes one of only a few drivers to do so. Steve Letarte reportedly has a grand strategy to win them the race, and all they need is a caution after 10 laps, and they are golden. Biffle leads as the race restarts with 65 laps left, and through it all, Johnson has found his way back up to third. Jeff Burton is the one on the prowl though, going low on Biffle and attacking the 16. Greg has a near miss with the wall and the 31 comes away with the lead, and the race now works to under 50 to go. Gordon has gotten up to 6th, but now the race has run too long for his strategy to work out. And Jimmy and McMurray start racing with Gordon, catching them before Juan Pablo Montoya blows a tire, causing a yellow. The blown tire was caused by radio sweetheart Kurt Busch after some contact. Now everyone is in, even Jeff Gordon. And the 24 comes in, and whilst everyone takes gas and 2 tires, Steve Letarte makes the call to take 4 on the 24. Many are mouth agape as to this strategy, losing Jeff even more track position, and the 48 comes off second. The Deuce is in 4th as well, making a 33-lap shootout with Burton leading. Johnson attacks immediately on the 31, trying his best to pass him, but the 31 holds him off, and eventually the 48 has nothing left. He begins to fade as the race nears completion, Kurt Busch catching Johnson as well as Casey Kane now. The Beers blast by the 48. Now the 2 cars chase the 31, who works through traffic. We are now under 10 laps to go, and Kane is up to second and wants to win over Jeff Burton. Johnson is fading more, nearing the end, getting passed by the 18 and the 26 too. As Kim Burton goes into a panic attack, Jeff Burton has to hold on for one more lap over Casey Kane and Kurt Busch.
Jeff Burton won at Bristol, Tennessee early in the year. Came in here 4th in the point standings.
White flag, boss. White flag. Bring it home.
1.5 miles away from a victory at Lowe's Motor Speedway and jumping big time up into serious contention in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup.
Yeah, right now he's 69 points behind. He said he needed to win races to be a serious factor in this. He's driving his way into this championship hunt. That's the way you do it. That's the way he wanted to do it.
On an October night under the lights at Lowe's Motor Speedway, 41-year-old Jeff Burton hangs on and gets it done. Burton wins at Charlotte.
Burton wins as Johnson comes home 6th, Biffle 7th, Gordon 8th, and various others sprinkled through the top 20. Edwards gets back to 33rd, but now has used his one mulligan, right before one of his worst tracks. In another race where qualifying is rained out, Jimmy Johnson will again lead the field to green. His teammate Jeff Gordon has a crucial race today, being presented with potentially his last good opportunity to win this year and to keep his chase alive. It's practically all or nothing for the 24 as we go green in Martinsville.
69 points separating the top two in the chase and 6 feet on the racetrack. Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Burton as they come down to the green flag at Martinsville, Virginia.
The 48 clears off of 2 as they go single file almost immediately. Edwards passes Biffle and pushes his teammate into the unforgiving high lane. Early on, many of the splitters are bottoming out big time, burning up the composite material that each are made out of. Jeff Gordon moves up to second before our first caution for Travis Quapple. Some pit early, mainly getting adjustments before a restart on lap 35. Gordon sends it in the 1, and they ride side by side until he clears the 48. He sprints off as Harvick gets third from his teammate, and Biffle almost wrecks off of the 00 but holds on as Johnson catches Gordon. They race hard until a caution for Casey Kane stopped off of turn 4, and finally the entire field pits, handing the lead over to Eric Almirola and Ryan Newman, who stayed out. Johnson and Edwards, the first 2 on fresh tires, are 12th and 13th, and McMurray from 3rd now races Ryan Newman. Johnson, in a blink of an eye, is already back up to 5th on this run, over a span of only 10 laps, fast to avoid the 26 spinning off of the bumper of the 88. The 26 gets it gathered back up, and the race restarts on lap 88, with the 8 still leading. Johnson is now 4th, as his progress is interrupted by the 01 car going around. They restart again on lap 94. Edwards up to 6th. Harvick in the pack races hard with Kyle Busch, confident in his car's setup after going to a test at Sandusky Speedway earlier in the week. The 48, meanwhile, has claimed 3rd and is attacking Newman for 2nd. It doesn't take long for him as 3rd soon turns into a 4-car race. Gordon has charged back to the front and is all over Edwards. Caution comes out quickly again though for Matt Kenseth. Everyone comes down pit road. All take 4 except Stewart, who grabs 2 tires and wins the race off pit lane. They restart again with Jay McMurray leading, who stayed out, and Clint Boyer in 2nd. Johnson goes 3 wide and 3 under Hamlin, again trying to race back to the front. He described to Canals on the radio over the last run that his car doesn't have the magic. And again, he is top 5, charging towards the front of the field. He passes Stewart, then Boyer. And in the car that they won Richmond with earlier in the year, he is up to 2nd by lap 150, and hard charging the 26. It's swift as the 48 again takes the lead. Gordon, meanwhile, fights hard with Edwards for 4th, before another caution for Kyle Busch hitting the wall. It appears also the 77 and 70 blew a tire at the same exact time Kyle did. And the weird event drags the leaders down pit road again. Johnson this time wins the race off over Gordon and McMurray, but Greg Biffle is the leader on the restart. It takes 5 laps, but Jimmy passes the 16 and is gone once more. Jeff Gordon also pounces for 2nd, and then McMurray. Edwards falls through with his teammate as another caution comes out just past lap 190 for Elliott Sadler. Most stay out, and the lead stays the same for the restart. Kurt Busch, as a lap car, races hard with the 48, 24 circuits behind him, but eventually he submits. As the race charges to halfway, the Hendrick 1-2 persists. Eventually Gordon closes on Johnson and sails past the 48, showing the Lowe's Chevrolet its first real challenge of the day. The race runs green further, making Biffle have to pit for fuel. Knowing how prone they are to going anywhere from 2 to 3 laps down, they take 2 tires and go back out, trying to reduce the damage, but immediately a caution is out for Bobby Labonte, and pit stops commence again. 4 tires and fuel for all lets Johnson win the race off over Gordon, Edwards, Jr., and McMurray. Biffle is now trapped a lap down, definitely, as RCR teammates make contact racing off the pit road. They seem fine as the race restarts and Biffle fights for his lap back. They go 3 wide and make it work, as desperation is rampant for everyone. Gordon again is faster than the 48 and champions by to grab control. In the 8 previous times Johnson and Jeff have finished 1-2, Gordon has had the edge in a 5-3 break. They lead past lap 300, where Johnson gets Gordon back, working towards getting the most laps led bonus. Lappers begin holding up the leaders, with the top 4 soon all being with each other. The 99 soon is after Gordon, and they race side by side in traffic. He grabs 2nd in what is Carl's best cup run ever at Martinsville, and the race charges to 150 to go, as Johnson gets minor right front damage from contact with Bill Elliott. Jeff Gordon meanwhile starts plummeting, seeing his chase elimination get closer, as he falls farther and farther from the lead. However, Gordon isn't the next driver to get eliminated.
Tony Stewart up across the racetrack in turn 2.
We're ready, we're ready.
Right front tires down. Now you see why I wouldn't want to have my car pit. I wouldn't want to pit about 2 laps ago, because a lot of these guys are having problems at this point.
Stewart has had his ups and downs in the chase, and this blown tire on top of the 11th place last week with a car that could have won buries his last opportunity with Joe Gibbs at a title, eliminating him from the 5th chase. Junior soon catches Edwards for second, as the race is now under 130 to go, and stops are looming under green. Brian Vickers appears in 4th, and Gordon falls to 7th. Just as the 83 passes the 88 for 3rd, Kurt Busch blows a tire, finally bringing out a caution. Many think that this could possibly be the last stop of the day, as everyone takes 4 and Johnson holds his lead over Edwards. The race restarts with 112 laps left, with Carl desperately trying to hold with his title rival. Again, the 48 is gone as Junior attacks the 99. McMurray, meanwhile, on his good recovery run, pulls in the garage, reporting of a broken rear axle, ending his day officially. Under 100 to go, we enter the witching hour, as Gordon passes Vickers, and the race for second gets intense. After a while, Junior finally gets Carl, and has about 80 laps to try and catch Johnson. He gets help as lap traffic slows his teammate. As the race works to under 50 to go, the lead is 1.8 seconds. Gordon and Hamlin fighting for 4th. Eventually a caution comes out for the 41. Now strategy becomes a question. Everybody comes in, and everyone takes 4 tires. But Jeff Burton is called for a penalty, pitting outside the box. A 1-lap penalty. This will without a doubt turn into Burton's mulligan, as the race will restart with only 33 laps left. Matt Kenseth, who stayed out, leads, holding on for dear life as Johnson attacks. Junior is there too, and they both clear as they have 29 laps to beat his teammate. Carl gets 3rd and Gordon 4th, and under 20 laps left, Johnson is the fastest he has been all day. But caution is out for the 38. This leaves an 8-lap shootout for Johnson and Junior. Jimmy has a great restart, and Edwards goes after Junior. They all run off from the pack as they race to 3 to go, before David Reagan goes around, and the race will come down to a green-white checkered restart. Ken Johnson closed the deal on a hungry Dale Jr. and a championship rival wanting redemption.
Championship hanging in the balance here. Can Jimmy Johnson hold him off? Remember, only one attempt at a green-white checkered, and here they come. Johnson just pulls away at a turn 4.
Yeah, I think he looked back and he saw Junior easing up on him, and that's whenever he took off. A nice restart by Jimmy Johnson.
5 car lengths for Jimmy Johnson. Earnhardt Jr.'s got a little over 1 lap to get there. White flag for Johnson.
White flag this time.
What a dominant day for Jimmy Johnson. He's led 7 times for 339 laps. And down the back straightaway, Jimmy Johnson trying to pick up his 6th win in 2008.
Good job, guys. Good job, Jimmy. Yeah, we roll, boys.
Johnson wins, burning it down as he opens his points lead. Whilst he is happy, Jeff Gordon in 4th is defeated. He needed to win, and now, losing to his teammate and the championship points leader, it is officially over. Not only will he most likely go winless this year, but he is eliminated from the 5th chase. In a trend that has become prominent across the entire chase, rain has canceled qualifying yet again. giving the pole to the points leader, Jimmie Johnson. The great starting spot doesn't save him from what he was in practice though, relatively bad, whilst Edwards was phenomenal. Carl's goal is to make sure Johnson doesn't lead a single lap and bury him with just his speed. The only question is, can he do it?
Remember, Jimmie Johnson is chasing history, but today, everyone else is chasing him. Here they come to the green flag at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Well, it didn't take long to start slipping and sliding. The guys couldn't even get up through the gears before they were spinning the tires.
This shows you how slick this surface really is.
Jimmie gets those 5 bonus points, but the 99 is fast. The first yellow though comes out very early, interrupting the battle, due to the 21 and 77 wrecking off into turn 3. The race restarts on lap 7, Johnson holding on, but Greg Biffle, frustrated, gets second and goes after Jimmie. The 16 is fired up and is mad that Johnson has now already led 8 laps. Carl though gets his teammate back, and the battling has now made Johnson get a gap on them. Biffle soon reports that he is, quote, horrible, whilst Jeff Gordon moves to 4th. By lap 18, Carl caught up to the 48 and takes a couple laps to finally clear him. Gordon soon gets Biffle for 3rd, and eventually Junior is there for 4th. Dale soon gets 3rd from Gordon, before our second caution for Scott Riggs nailing the wall. Everyone is in for 4 tires and fuel, and on the stops, the 48 blocks the 99 in his stall, in fact giving him the lead on the restart on lap 40. Carl isn't mad, instead determined, wanting his lead back. Kenseth is now 3rd, and Gordon is 4th. Carl eventually does get his lead back, and is gone by lap 50. Carl is driving the hell out of his car, working the wheel and gapping the field. He wants redemption, not only for his championship run, but for blowing up here with a fast car in the spring. Johnson eventually falls to 5th, as it appears his car isn't as good in traffic. Carl leads past lap 70, as Johnson slowly falls more to the 6th place spot, reporting the car is, quote, super evil. Stops eventually occur past lap 80. The flurry of stops are aiding drivers, all reporting loose. As Johnson comes in, he pits with the 99, and coming off, he hears the worst thing you could report to a driver.
And now Jimmie Johnson has got a penalty, guys. Apparently too fast entering on pit road. He'll have to re-enter and come through at pit road speed, and that will slow down his progress here today as the field continues under green, guys.
Speed, don't speed.
Well, Dale, you called it. Dale saw him come off the pit road, or off the racetrack on the pit road, and said he could have been speeding.
Yeah, he really locked up the front tires and coming in. He just didn't look like he ever got slowed down enough in that first segment. So, unfortunately, know how that is. He's as he goes off of pit road, there goes Carl Edwards by him to put him a lap down.
The 48 has made his first mistake all chase, and now a lap down, he has given Edwards a chance to close the gap. After the cycle, Kenseth and Kurt are fighting for 2nd, whilst Johnson is 29th. As he battles up to 25th, Carl has lapped up to 15th. For our next caution for debris, the lucky dog will be David Gilliland, as Johnson stays trapped a lap down. The field pits, Carl having a clear exit now, and still loses the race off to Matt Kenseth. They restart on lap 115, as they go 3 wide, Johnson wanting his lap back. Edwards is all over the front as well, as he files the 48 back. Carl is dead set on getting his lead back from his teammate, but before he can attack, caution is out for Casey Kane, who has been fighting the devil in his Hades Red 9 car. Most take 4 tires under these stops, and Johnson does finally get the lucky dog. The recovery starts on lap 136 for him, as they restart the same as before. Kenseth holding off his teammate, Kurt Jr. race for 4th, as again the race settles in and everyone spaces out. They fly past lap 150, where Johnson is only up to 17th, and no good progress is made past lap 170. The 17 car begins dominating, as Carl is frustrated, needing max points, hence leading the most laps, something Kenseth is taking away from him. Eventually green flag stops start, with a flurry of cars needing to be tightened up. Nothing much changes as Matt runs away further, and Dale Jr. hits the wall shortly after pit stops, but we stay green. Kenseth runs off past lap 200 now, and he is ahead of Gordon and Harvick, who race for 5th. Johnson passes Jr. for 13th, who is fading after the damage from hitting the wall, and as Matt is about to lap teammate Greg Biffle, caution finally comes out for Michael Waltrip shredding a tire. On the pit stops, Kurt Busch wins the race off pit lane, with Kenseth in second, all taking relatively small adjustments. Kurt leads on the restart, with Matt trying to get his lead back. Eventually, after a couple laps side by side, he gets it, and now we're under 100 to go. The top three are evenly spaced out now, and Johnson still rides 13th, just bad. And Junior races Mears for 11th. Harvick races Kyle Busch for 7th as they slip under 80 to go. Desperation is setting in for Carl, who needs to get his lead back, and Hamlin soon races up to second, stealing it from Kurt Busch. The 11 is coming to life late here, and a caution for debris with 72 laps left brings everybody down once more. Hamlin wins the race off pit lane, with Kenseth, Kurt, and Edwards behind. They restart with 68 to go. Hamlin spinning his tires from the lead and giving Jeff Burton, who was a lap down, his lead lap back. The 11 does eventually get going, running off from the field. Now the question is, of final stops. When will they happen? Johnson moves up to 9th during this, saying the car is slightly better, but not good enough to get closer to the front. Under 40 laps left, many are realizing the caution they need to pit under might not happen, and that final stops may come with under 15 to go. Except Michael Waltrip brings out a caution 100 laps down, and everyone is in. Hamlin wins the race off, and Kenseth is off second. Montoya moves up to 4th, having an awesome run. And the restart with just 30 laps left. Jimmy is in the back, and is on the attack 3 wide going off of turn 2. He gets Harvick, as Carl rides high as well, saying it's go time, and he wants the lead. He gets 3rd before a caution for Michael Waltrip blowing out a crush panel. And Hamlin, wanting redemption for the loss he had last year when he had water in his gas, wheel spins on the restart with 23 laps left. Matt can't take advantage as Carl goes for second. As they race even harder behind them, trouble strikes.
Okay, got another crash.
Big crash, the 42 involved, 41 Sorensen.
Oh, and Jeff Burton. Joe Nemechek gets in it towards the end.
Burton is torn up, and after his lap penalty last week, this puts the period on his chase run. From the magic of a Charlotte win, they thought maybe there was a shot, but in a matter of 2 weeks, he is eliminated from the 5th chase. The race restarts with Carl Edwards immediately jumping on Denny Hamlin. He grabs the lead before a quick debris caution slows the pace once more. Pit road opens, and in comes the 48. He was 8th, and now will restart 12th, an acceptable gamble to potentially gain track position. But the 48 will only have 8 laps to do so.
Can Carl hold him off? Here we go, it'll be 8 to go.
Is he going to take the middle lane going into turn 1 and through that corner, or is he going to go to the bottom?
Whichever lane he takes, I know he's going to be full front.
Brand new tires, and look at Jimmy Johnson. Oh, he goes to the outside of Truex, just blows by. Let's see what he can do with his teammate, Jeff Gordon.
He's coming, boys.
Yeah, we talk about this race team and how good they are. Man, they make good calls, too. They get themselves in position. Great call by Chad Knaus to come get 4 tires on this car. See, Junior's struggling.
Earnhardt Jr., 6th position. Jimmy just able to go by him now.
Yeah, he's got a sight set on Jeff Gordon there. These guys are going to try to make a top 5 finish out of this thing. You can see that's his actual car owner, Jeff Gordon, who's right in front of him. How hard is he going to race him? Well, there's no match for those new tires.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how hard he races. He can't hold those new tires off.
Yeah, here's the 5th place car that he's going to go by before he gets to turn 1.
I don't think he's finished.
What a call by Chad Knaus to bring him on pit road, put fresh Goodyear's on, and everyone else is sitting out of him.
Here we go, into the 4th spot here. 48 car, Jimmy Johnson. Just shows how good. These guys said that these tires were good for up to 10 laps, and that's all that they had. And what made this such a great call was it was a single file restart. Didn't have to deal with the lap cars.
We got a caution flag and a green, white, and checker. They may be in trouble with Jimmy Johnson.
No, nice and smooth, buddy. Nice and smooth.
Here comes Jimmy Johnson for that 3rd spot with Matt Kenseth. You know, we heard Dave Burns ask Carl Edwards before the race about going out there and doing all you can do, and it might not be enough. And this is exactly what he's talking about, because this 48 team just makes something out of what could have been a disaster today, and he's going to gain very few points.
He's going to get another spot here. Denny Hamlin ahead of him. He's still got another lap.
How about that? He could end up finishing second.
White flag. One more time. Bring it back here.
See Hamlin really fighting the steering wheel right there.
This is the final lap, so no chance of a green-white checker, but here comes Jimmy Johnson on Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, he gave him that outside. I was a little surprised there. If he makes that run, we talk about this turn 4 pass. It's not going to be for the win this year, but it might be for second spot. There's Carl Edwards.
Here's the battle for second as they are in turn 3. Carl Edwards, coming out of turn 4 cut as the 48 makes the pass, and Carl Edwards will come down and win for the 7th time in 2008, and Jimmy Johnson finishes second.
Edwards celebrates with a backflip, unknowing that his championship rival finished second. Bob Osborne sounds like they lost, even though they win their 7th race of the year. And for the 29 and 07, they have lost their opportunity in the championship. Bowyer's finish of 20th and Harvick's of 13th just isn't good enough to keep up with Edwards and Johnson, eliminating both RCR drivers from the 5th chase.
Awesome weekend for us, and I just can't believe how great this weekend is.
Now you're gonna need some more courage, because we talked at the beginning of the day about doing all that you could do. You saw who finished second behind you.
Who finished second?
The 48.
Are you kidding me?
With 3 races left, only 3 chasers remain. For the first time in chase history, the points leader heading into the race will have no mathematical way to lose his lead after the day. Boasting now over 180 points over second place, the largest points lead ever amassed in this format, qualifying finally is not rained out, giving the pole to Jeff Gordon. Jimmy Johnson will start 7th on the day, and Edwards 16th. Biffle is right there in 19th as we begin 500 miles in Texas.
Aware that yesterday here in the state of Texas, number 1 was upset. Could that be an omen for Jimmy Johnson? Folks, it's Halloween weekend. Could number 1 possibly get a hex in Texas? We're going to find out here as they come down to the green flag.
Gordon clears second place starter Martin Truex Jr. out of turn 2 and runs off from the field. Jimmy and Jamie McMurray begin racing, and Brad Keselowski, making his first ever Cup start in the 25, hits the fence early on, and Johnson now is attacked by the franchise. Tony Stewart is slicing through the back of the field after starting from the rear due to a wreck in practice, and at the front, Jeff Gordon gets pounced on by Clint Bowyer and Dale Jr. He falls to third with the 07 leading. Meanwhile, Edwards is up 10 spots, very confident in his car. He quickly gets his teammate for 5th, and the franchise, charging to the front, gets Gordon for 3rd. Bowyer passes by the first lap car Joey Logano, and Gordon is soon passed for 5th. Edwards gets 3rd from Jr., and the franchise is up to 2nd. Johnson, meanwhile, is 8th, racing Biffle. He soon gets loose and loses 2 spots to 10th. He's struggling like his teammate in the 24. Eventually, the first green flag cycle starts as the franchise gets the lead from Clint Bowyer. Johnson is the first chaser in, needing to fix his car drastically, and Bowyer is in on lap 52. Various others follow him, and the cycle is quick, with Bowyer getting his lead back, but Carl Edwards moving up to 2nd. The franchise is back to 3rd, as Carl screams by Bowyer on the high side shortly after for the lead. Our first caution comes out with Reed Sorensen having an oil line come undone, smoking heavily but not actually blowing up. Under this yellow, Johnson comes down pit road, led by Dale Jr. They need fixes big time, and with the top 11 staying out, track position isn't as valuable to them as handling of the car. The race restarts on lap 65, with Carl still leading. He clears easily, as Montoya shows speed early as well, racing inside the top 10. Biffle's up to 4th, passing the franchise, and Jamie McMurray is up to 3rd. They attack Bowyer for 2nd, as eventually both get him, making it a Roush 1-2-3 at the front. They pass by lap 80, Edwards with a 4-second lead now, and he is quickly closing in on Jimmy Johnson, who is 24th, and even worse on track than he was before. His points lead has fallen to 81, and Chad tells Jimmy to be patient and that they can turn this around. Carl knows that Jimmy is prone and is dead set on lapping him, and the 48 fades to 29th on pace now. Carl lapping his title rival. This could be the mulligan that everyone has been waiting for finally, and Carl has been saying all week that if he can get it within 100 points, that he has a shot at Homestead. The gap is 64. Pit stops are coming for Johnson, praying for something to fix his Chevrolet. The cycle starts, needing the car to be loosened up, and preparing for the night hours. The 83 pits, and the cycle completes with Edwards back out in front and Johnson now 30th. Chad reports to him finally that he, quote, found something, and is gonna fix it. Johnson starts turning the 2nd fastest laps on track, and the fastest car, though, keeps lapping drivers. He's up to 22nd with Kurt Busch, and Tony Stewart and Denny Hamlin are next to lap for Carl Edwards. And the race passes by lap 140. Edwards laps Stewart before a caution for debris, giving the lucky dog back to the 20. Carl leads the field down, wanting a wedge adjustment, and McMurray wants to reverse everything they did, with Edwards winning the race off pit lane. The next lap, Johnson is in, pitting as a lap down car. They take a wedge and a track bar adjustment, putting Johnson 7th off the pit lane, and 6 cars behind getting the lucky dog. They're 26th on the restart on lap 149, and they go 3 wide down the back. The points gap, 82. Johnson is now 1 spot behind the lucky dog, Denny Hamlin, and the race is past lap 180. Edwards is gone again, as Bowyer and the franchise race hard for 4th. The race approaches lap 200 now, where the next green flag cycle starts. Everybody comes in, Edwards giving up a 7.6 second lead. Biffle has issues on the stops, which knocks him back to 5th on track after the cycle is over. Sneaking towards the front now is Kyle Busch, riding up to 4th place. And the race continues to work to just roughly 100 laps to go. Carl laps Dale Jr. and is whipping the competition. Johnson is up to 20th, but can't keep up with Carl's pace with lapping cars. His lead is now 9 seconds, and he's lapped up to 14th, and 2nd on track is the franchise now. Eventually, a debris caution with 95 to go erases the gap, and everyone who is left on the lead lap pits. Edwards holds his lead with the 44 team thinking they have something for Carl. The 48 comes in the next lap, trying to improve the car more, and for the first time all chase, Chad seems a bit flustered.
Making adjustments, you see what, just like Rusty said.
Go, outside one, go. Watch it. Shit, sorry, didn't mean to yell in your ear.
The race restarts with 89 laps left. Kyle Busch going for 2nd, and then a caution comes out quick for Travis Quapple spinning down the front stretch. 2 cars get their laps back by beating Edwards in the 1. And with 15 cars on the lead lap, Johnson is closer. Kasey Kahne, though, was penalized a lap for jumping the last restart. And now we will go back green with 83 laps left. Gordon, a lap down, races Edwards, but Carl pulls ahead. And with all 43 cars still on the track, we progress into the night hours. Johnson is still chasing the lucky dog, but can't make a mistake, for it could put him 43rd on track. Stewart has a moment as we go under 74 laps left. A caution comes out when Juan Pablo Montoya gets intent wrecked by David Gilliland. The 38 will be parked for this move, one of the most egregious right rear hooks in quite some time. This brings everybody down pit road, and many take 2 tires, with Carl taking 4. The race will restart with 66 to go, McMurray leading, and everyone still needing to pit for fuel. The 26 runs away. Carl seems to struggle through traffic, not making the ground everyone thought he would be making. McMurray with clean air is setting fast laps, building an 8-second lead over the field. The race whittles down to 35 to go, with many strategizing when their last stops will be. For many, it'll be a splash and go. Others might just take 2 tires. And under 25 laps left, Kenseth is the first in, trying to get the fresh tires advantage. Bowyer during this run chases down McMurray in traffic and has him in his sights, and Carl gets informed of when they're going to pit. Never. They are going to go for it. In a gamble that could cost them the championship, Bob Osborne and Jack Roush have made the decision to go for it on fuel. They know the 48 is prone, and a win could put them back in this. They just need to make it. Truex is in, along with Kyle Busch and various others with 19 laps left, and Carl backs his pace off more. Martin, Hornish, Harvick, Menard, and Kane all visit their crews as well, and Carl keeps going. Finally, the leader pits with 12 to go, and the 99 controls. Johnson pits himself, putting himself a lap down, and now Carl just needs to hit a number. 9 to go, and the car still runs. Behind him, Gordon and Jr. are making the same gamble, except they don't have the risk of losing a title. They're Carl's only competition, and with 6 to go, the 88 runs out of gas, signaling concern for Carl, but he keeps saving. We work to 4 to go, and he has a 13-second gap. Osborne is pleading to back off more, and Jack Roush is on the pit box running the numbers more, and he says they can make it. 2 to go, and Carl continues to slow, not knowing if it's of his own volition or if he's just saving more gas.
69 laps. They've gone now 68 laps. White flag.
It's amazing. We see the guy that's getting ready to win this race getting passed by everybody on the racetrack, but he's on a different agenda.
If he's got to run half a lap.
If he can make it half a lap, he will narrow almost 80 points off of Jimmy Johnson's lead. He said if we can just get it down to 100 or less at Homestead, we got a shot.
I like his chances from here. Wow, what a call. What a call.
Coming out of turn 4, what a call. Carl Edwards gets it done and wins at Texas.
Man, oh man. Jeff Gordon's going to finish second.
Hell yes, right there. That's Ford fuel mileage. Great job.
I got a hand for that. That was amazing.
Wow. The differential.
Great job. It's over. We won it, right? You won it.
You won.
On an economy run, Edwards goes back-to-back, and Gordon makes it as well in second, and Bowyer, Biffle, and Kyle Busch make 4th through 6th. Johnson, in what is his first mulligan, finishes 15th, and the gap is 106. Carl gains 80 points, and with 2 races left, Homestead being one of them, the Roush boys are confident they can make up that gap. Two historic things can happen today at Phoenix. If Carl Edwards is to gain another 80 points, he would set up what would be the largest comeback this late in the season in championship history. Not since Alan Kowicki in 1992 would someone have come back from that big of a deficit to win the title. The other historic thing, Jimmy Johnson could clinch the title today, being the first time someone could do that in this format's history. The 48 will start from the pole today, a position the last 2 years has not been favorable to the person who started there, having them finish 43rd and 42nd. Johnson, though, will be far ahead of his championship rival Edwards in 15th and his other Biffle in 31st. As the cars pull out, winds reach speeds of over 20 miles an hour. As clouds blow in, we go green in the desert.
Go in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Can he rebound from a disappointment in Texas a week ago? Great crowd on hand as Jimmy will lead him down to the green flag.
Jim McMurray, starting next to Jimmy Johnson, beats him and leads lap 1. His mission is to not let Jimmy lead a single lap and file him back to the 99. Through 5 laps, McMurray holds, but the 48 still pressures. Jr. begins slicing through traffic as Carl races Kyle Busch for 13th. The first caution comes out for Sam Hornish Jr. and Elliott Sadler, and Martin Truex Jr. is overheating and needs to come in the pit lane as well. Jeff Gordon is complaining of the wind, making his car feel weird. The field comes down with most taking 4 tires except Kurt Busch, who takes 2 alongside his teammate Ryan Newman, Reed Sorensen, and Mark Martin. They lead on the restart on lap 25, with Kurt running from teammate Ryan Newman. Johnson begins his pursuit of his 5 bonus points, whilst Edwards is 17th. Casey Mears has an awesome save off of turn 2, and Biffle makes little progress in traffic. Johnson eventually gets up to 2nd, as Truex has his day end with an engine failure from the overheating. The second caution comes out when Brian Vickers blows a tire and nails the wall. No one pits, as the skies get darker and we restart on lap 37. Caution almost immediately comes out for rain though, and a dust storm has blown in around the racetrack, and rain has started to come down harder. They park the field down the pit lane and begin trying to dry the track along with cleaning it due to all the dust that has blown on it. As they sit under red, Matt Kenseth's left front tire goes flat, and after only 10 minutes, the sun comes back out. As the ambient temperature heats up, Carl Edwards eats a sandwich, relaxed, and talks under red about how his front tire changer injured his back overnight, and they had to replace him on the spot, hoping that his stops aren't slowed due to the new chemistry that needs to be established. They eventually get back on the racetrack and restart on lap 48, with the 48 in 2nd. Edwards is 14th and Biffle 33rd, and they space out quick, with Gordon making some moves around the 41, and Junior moving the 4th. Kurt holds his lead as Carl still fights in 14th, battling Montoya in the 42. McMurray begins closing on Johnson for 2nd, who still needs a lap led, and Gordon and Hamlin catch Newman. 3 wide for 5th they go off of turn 4, and the wind is making the cars handle horrible, with consistent gusts of 20 to 30 miles an hour. Carl, struggling with both that and traffic, races hard with Jeff Burton, and Ryan Newman suddenly loses a tire and needs to pit. He nearly takes out Kevin Harvick as he heads back out on track, now with no sway bar mount. It must have ground off when he drove around the track with the blown tire. And Johnson eventually catches Kurt, racing side by side with him, and eventually clearing him into turn 3. He gains 5 bonus points and the lead, as heavy traffic sits in front of him though. As they pass lap 90, they are closing in on green flag stops. Biffle, meanwhile, is up to 15th. He's still crawling through the field, as Kurt falls to 4th place, and pit stops begin around lap 100. Johnson comes in on lap 101, and McMurray is also in, pitting during his crew's second to last race with him. After the good run, Jack Roush decided to switch it up for the 26 in 2009, and McMurray will have a new man on the box in 2009. Carl is in and has a great stop. Biffle stays out, grabbing 5 bonus points. Since he pitted later, he actually has 10 extra laps on gas, and will use that to try and catch a caution. He doesn't get it, and comes in on lap 109. Johnson now has a 3-second lead over McMurray, and Jeff Gordon reports his engine is supposedly going sour. The car still has speed though, all the way to a caution on lap 141 for debris. Everybody is in, and Johnson wins the race off with Junior and Gordon behind. McMurray falls to 4th, and the race restarts on lap 149, just short of halfway. As the field is completely double file with lap cars, Johnson clears Boyer, and Junior behind deals with lap cars. The deficit in points builds to 167, as Edwards just battles inside the top 10. AJ Allmendinger, running the 10 car at the end of the year, is right there, driving for a ride in 2009. And as the cameras shake due to the intense winds, Biffle finds himself in another storm, trying to escape it. They near lap 170, Edwards and Kyle Busch racing for 9th. As Johnson grows a 3.5 second lead, Gordon falls back to 8th. As Edwards moves by, the report comes in, the 24's engine is officially dying. He continues to fall through the field, Johnson racing towards the title. But now the looming question over him is if that engine problem will start to become widespread. Could the 48 be riding with a ticking bomb? There's only 125 laps to find out. Edwards catches Harvick for 7th, trying to erode his gap. Gordon, meanwhile, is lapped, showing Johnson his possible fate. With the same car they had at Martinsville, Johnson races towards clinching most laps led, and 2 other teammates in the top 5 gives Johnson a little bit of hope that maybe it's just a one-off with Jeff Gordon's engine. The 99 and 29 continue to race to under 110 to go, till caution for debris brings the entire field down pit lane. Johnson's crew attempts to put a big piece of tape on the grille due to the car running too cold, and they lose the lead because of it. McMurray now has control of the race, and Chad, angry with the mistake, has to rely on his driver to correct the error.
Makes it very difficult.
Carl Edwards can see that 48 car from here.
When he's not going down the front stretch. Where
Well, that's it. Okay. You might be able to see him now.
Yeah, that's right.
You couldn't see him a while ago.
McMurray pulls away, and Jimmy Johnson just goes right by.
He fixed that little situation.
But then he gets a great run and just turns his car right to the bottom of the racetrack. And that's smart driving along with a good race car.
Watch Chad Canals watching this. They got to bring him. Come on, Chad. You can smile.
Yeah, there's my driver. Yeah, that's right.
With the 26 behind him, all Chad can do is chuckle. But now a new worry comes in. A napkin has caught on Johnson's grill, and worry that overheating could occur makes regulation attempts critical. Everything seems fine, and with 75 laps left, Edwards battles Harvick again. Kurt soon battles up to McMurray and gets him with 58 to go, and final stops begin to loom once more. Carl catches Hamlin for 6th. Whilst he's improving, McMurray is fading back to 4th, and Junior gets him. Caution comes out for debris in turn 3 with 51 left. The field comes down. Johnson's crew clean the grill and fires off first, holding the lead and now getting rid of the issue of possibly overheating. The race will restart with 46 to go, with Kurt in 2nd attacking Jimmy Johnson. Edwards moves up to 5th as Mears has another incredible save. During all this, Jeff Gordon finally detonates and pulls in the garage. Kurt keeps pursuing Johnson until...
Even Jimmy are probably thinking, man, these are going to be the longest. Whoa, there goes the 5-car round.
Yellow.
Oh,
Whoa, and it gets hit. Ridges there. The 97 of Ambrose.
Look at this 28 car. Is that the 38 car? All jacked up in the back. Somebody's underneath him.
So much we can't even see who that is.
Got a little fire off the exhaust.
That's the 84 of Scott Speed that he's up on the hood of.
He put it in gear trying to drive off, but no traction.
He's got a Ford Fusion in his windshield.
The second red flag is put out immediately as the 38 is stuck on another car. During the red, they swap over to ESPN2 due to the race running so long. And eventually, as the race goes back to yellow, many need a pop start to get going. Ryan Newman pushes Stewart, who will be his boss next year. And after all the cleanup, the race restarts with 34 laps left. Kurt again attacks Johnson, and Carl Edwards' 4th is pressured by Junior. Kyle Busch meanwhile gets into the 41, cutting his tire down and again causing another crash, slowing the pace once more. Under the caution, some pit, whilst many at the front stay out. Johnson has enough of a cushion to not worry about any of those fresh tires. Carl Edwards, though, not as much. The race restarts again before another caution almost immediately for debris. The bumper fell off of the 41, leading to another late race restart. It's 16 to go, as Kurt Busch tries again, and they are 3 wide behind him. It is crazy throughout the pack, as they fire to under 10 to go. Another caution soon comes out for Stewart and Kenseth. After being spun around, Tony's car is not starting, and he loses laps stalled because of it. With that, we will come down to a 2-lap shootout. Johnson holding on over Kurt Busch through various attempts before. Can he do it one more time to claim victory?
Final lap. Remember, still 18 cars on the lead lap, so contact can totally change the complexion.
Look at Kurt. He gets a better run this time.
Kurt Busch got a good jump. Carl Edwards got a good jump.
Jimmy Johnson laid the power down pretty good off of turn 2.
I mean, Kurt Busch did all he could do right there.
Yeah.
It was right on him.
Jimmy Johnson will come out of 4 for the white flag here at Phoenix. 1 lap to go.
Whoa, look at Kurt Busch.
Think he's not driving hard?
He's still digging. He got that thing completely sideways.
Jimmy Johnson sideways there, too. Kurt got a nice run off the corner.
Okay, we're coming.
See if he can get to the bumper.
Can he get there? Here he comes. Kurt Busch, a car length away. Jimmy Johnson trying to hang on.
Awesome job, dude.
And Jimmy Johnson wins for the 7th time this year. Whoa, contact.
Hard lick for these cars. That's a bad way to end the race. A lot of cars getting torn up here.
6, 7, 8 cars involved.
Stewart's involved.
With that, Johnson has his 7th win of 2008 and sturdy control over the championship fight. Edwards in 4th keeps himself alive, but for Greg Biffle in 11th, it is over. The chase started so well for Greg after back-to-back wins, but losing just a little bit of footing has taken him out of it, and officially eliminated from the 5th chase. Today, history can be made with a finish of 36th or better for Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus. Only one other time has a driver won 3 titles in a row, Cale Yarborough in 1976 through 78, and never has a crew chief done it 3 in a row. In pre-race, they interview Cale, who talks of Johnson and what today could potentially mean for him if he were to tie what he did nearly 30 years ago.
You know, it's about time, Alan. I think I just wonder what took them so long. You know, it's been an honor to be the only driver that ever won 3 consecutive championships in the 60-year history of NASCAR. So it's been a great honor, and all good things must come to an end, and looks like that's going to happen today with Jimmie Johnson.
The question is also asked about where Johnson will stand in history when the dust settles. For the 48 team, though, they don't care about any of this conversation. They can still lose this title, and in their mind, nothing changes. They qualified 30th, whilst Edwards is 4th. In the front row is the franchise and Scott Speed, driving the number 83. They swapped him and Brian Vickers as an attempt to try and get the 84 in on owner's points. And the first ever race paced by a hybrid pace car, we go green for one last time in the 5th chase.
Driver mired back in the field, then the early laps when everything can break loose. Fans on their feet, glad to have you with us on what could be a history-making day here in South Florida as the field comes down for the green flag.
The franchise clears into 1 whilst Edwards races Harvick. The gap starts off at 53 points as Johnson attacks early, knowing passing will get harder when the sun sets. He works up to 21st whilst Edwards and Kenseth work up to 1st and 2nd. Carl wants to lead for 5 bonus points whilst Matt says no. They race hard and Johnson gets all the way up to 19th. Carl finally gets by, but then lets Matt by after a couple of laps. Finally, Carl takes the lead back officially, most of this happening under commercial, and Matt being upset that Carl originally didn't give him the lead back and that he hates these types of games that happen during races. Carl with the lead now pulls away, and after 30 laps, asks where Jimmie Johnson is running. His worries should lie in Kevin Harvick though, who is now 2nd and closing on him nearing pit stops. With a 2-second lead at lap 50, Johnson makes the first stops out of anyone from 17th. They make some minor adjustments and the field cycles through on the first round of green flag pit stops to Carl Edwards holding his lead, with Jimmie Johnson up to 15th. They've done everything right thus far, and Carl leads, stating he is happy regardless of what happens today. The only thing that would bother him is if the 48 were to make a mistake and he were not to take advantage. Kenseth has fallen to 7th meanwhile, whilst Tony Stewart runs a car commemorating every win of his time with the 20 team. He and his crew were very emotional in the pre-race, putting one last sticker in the car for if Tony were to pull it off today to commemorate what could possibly be their 33rd win together. The first caution of the day comes out with Eric Almirola spinning out down the front stretch. Everybody is in, with Edwards winning the race off over Harvick, Bowyer, and the franchise. The race restarts on lap 75 with Gordon in 14th, nested in a pile of drivers racing hard. As the race spreads back out again, Edwards leads over teammate David Reagan, having an awesome run late in the season. Many are high on the young driver, calling him the future. Johnson runs 11th now, while Jamie McMurray, a newly engaged man, runs good as well. He proposed to his fiancée last week at Phoenix, and the race passes by lap 100. Carl already closing up on most laps led, and Dale Jr. rim riding around the track. Nearing halfway, pit stops commence again, with many holding ground and Edwards leading through it all. 43 cars still run past halfway, as the second yellow comes out for debris on lap 140. Johnson headlines the drivers that pit under this yellow, as many stay out due to pitting under the cycle so recently, and the race restarts again on lap 147. Edwards leading, whilst Johnson is 12th in a melee. He is constantly 3 wide around lappers, whilst Kurt Busch cuts a tire down and brings out a third caution. During this yellow, Kurt Busch not only needs repairs, but to serve penalties for speeding up pit entry, pit exit, entering the pits unsafely, and having a commitment cone violation as well. He will understandably be EOL'd. The race restarts again on lap 157, Tony ripping it on fresh tires, and while Pablo Montoya wheeling it as well. He races the franchise super close, as Kyle Busch and David Reagan race hard as well. They race to 100 to go, before Marcos Ambrose blows a tire and brings out the yellow. Everyone pits, with most taking 2 tires except Chad Canals. When asked if it's a conservative strategy, Chad replies that it is to set them up for something later in the race. Currently though, leader Jeff Gordon takes us back to green with 94 laps left. Gordon runs off as Johnson is again in chaos, but the real close moment comes with Edwards and Denny Hamlin. The 99 is filed back in strategy and has to drive back to the front. He is 5th before another caution for Jeff Burton spinning out off of turn 2. And Johnson again pits under the yellow, all part of this plan supposedly. Again, the race restarts with Gordon at the front, and it is 4 wide in the pack. Johnson marching ahead. Edwards fights to redeem his lead, and he battles with Hamlin whilst Johnson is 17th. Suddenly, Matt Kenseth passes Gordon for the lead, the car coming alive, and soon Hamlin and Edwards catch a 24 whilst Matt is gone. Caution soon comes out with 75 left for Reed Sorensen knocking the fence down. Everybody comes down and takes 4 tires, except one car, the 48. Chad Canals has pulled a masterclass once again, and with a lap lead, has made it 37th or better for the 48. With track position, he leads Kenseth, who won the race off pit lane over Hamlin and Edwards. As Johnson leads 64 laps away from destiny, Carl drives like a madman possessed, and he gets blocked by Newman, whilst the 48 gets passed by his teammate. Caution erupts the battling as Kurt Busch hits the wall again, and some pit, but many stay out, all having interesting fuel numbers here. Still, 43 cars run, indicating the race is far from over. As we restart with 56 laps left, Hamlin is all over Johnson for second, and Kyle goes after Edwards. Hamlin gets Johnson, who falls to third, whilst the 6 and 44 race hard. Carl catches Johnson with 46 to go, and together they chase down Hamlin. Jimmy eventually lets the 99 go, whilst Tony spirits by as well. Stewart then attacks Edwards, who is apparently trying to hit another fuel number. This is the last hurrah for him and Zippy, and he wants to go out with a bang. He chases down Matt and takes the lead, and Tony doesn't care if he can't make it on fuel. He's going to do what he's done for a decade. Give it his all. Pit stop start with 22 to go, with Junior coming in for a broken brake caliper, and now we go to 14 to go. 2 cars report they can make it, Harvick and Gordon. A smaller gap for Carl if he's going to make it this time. Johnson pits with 13 left, making sure they don't run out and that they can just make it home with this championship. Hamlin is in next, then Stewart, and they do a splash and go on the 20. Matt Kenseth is back out in front now with 9 to go, but Carl is there, and the 2 are racing each other, but also making sure they can save enough gas at the same time. A high-level chess match by 2 legends, who can save fuel better and who can win this race. Bob Osborne is very nervous about this run compared to what happened at Texas, and pleads to slow it down more and more, unsure if they can make it on fuel. Johnson, in 20th, is just hoping nothing crazy happens. Carl's still waiting, trying to save enough gas while also trying to pass Matt, finally gets the word. Go. He screams past the 17 with 4 laps left, and then Matt's fuel pressure hits 0, and Carl's got a gap. This could be economy run number 2 in 3 weeks for the 99 team. Can he do it?
Tell me how big my lead is now. 13 seconds, bud. 13-second lead.
Okay, it's a white flag here.
What am I looking for, Bob? 6 car.
Okay, now the 29 car is in second place, and he is another 13 seconds back. All Carl has to do is just make sure this thing will come around to the finish.
10-second lead now, bud.
He's going to make it, guys.
Off of turn
Here he
4.
goes.
Out of turn 4.
Great job. It's running out right now. It's running out right now. We're out again.
Carl Edwards gets his 9th win of the year, and Jimmy Johnson makes history as a 3-time consecutive NASCAR Sprint Cup champion.
What a year. What a run he made at Jimmy Johnson. Here comes Jimmy up behind him. A great fight all the way to the end. Yeah, a lot of respect between these two great race drivers.
They are fierce competitors on the racetrack, but they respect each other's abilities off.
History. The establishment of a dynasty. The cementation of a legacy. Not just for Jimmy Johnson, but Carl Edwards caps off a 9-win season. That is a number few men will ever achieve across a career. And as Carl runs out of gas, Johnson goes to the championship stage again to hoist title number 3. The 5th chase has come to an end. And once again, the 48 stands victorious.
It doesn't get old, does it?
No, now we're gonna have to do it again next year, I guess. This is way too much fun.